All my life, I have desired to see the dead raised, the lame healed, the blind to give insight, the deaf hearing, as well as all prayers answered in regards to life in general. It's something that I believe every Christian desires deep down inside. It's also something I believe the remnant will see firsthand in the coming days. In Ministry of Healing, page 140, paragraph 1, it says, Luke, the writer of the gospel that bears his name, was a medical missionary. In the scriptures, he is called the beloved physician in Colossians 4, verse 14. The Apostle Paul heard of his skill as a physician and sought him out as one to whom the Lord had entrusted a special work. He secured his cooperation, and for some time Luke accompanied him in his travels from place to place. After a time, Paul left Luke at Philippi in Macedonia. Here he continued to labor for several years, both as a physician and as a teacher of the gospel. In his work as a physician, he ministered to the sick and then prayed for the healing power of God to rest upon the afflicted ones. Thus, the way was open for the gospel message. Luke's success as a physician gained for him many opportunities for preaching Christ among the heathen. It is the divine plan that we shall work as the disciples worked. Physical healing is bound up with the gospel commission. In the work of the gospel, teaching and healing are never to be separated. In today's world, we have very many opportunities to go forth and heal the sick. I mean, they're literally, absolutely everywhere. The diet of people today blesses us with numerous prospects to preach Jesus. If you were, let me ask you this, like if you were dying of some strange disease, whatever it may be, and even if you weren't dying of it, it was just something that was just gnawing at you for years, would you stop and listen to someone that others declared had a cure or knew of a way to get you healed? I know I would. Just the other day, I placed an article on the website that confirmed our discernment regarding the government. All the governments of the world actually plan to remove all private insurance companies when it comes to health care, as well as supplements. You know, like your vitamin C, all your vitamins are going to become prescription only. So they can have a monopoly on this. So why do you suppose they need to do this? Well, briefly, I don't want to get into a big, long dissertation about this, but they cannot enforce the mark of the beast with private insurance companies that have their own company policies that the state government themselves cannot supersede. And they certainly can't do this with you being able to go to, like, Nature's Farm or Sunspot or any of the places that we know of here in Lafayette, or I don't know, like vitamins.com, whatever, to be able to get supplements. So, but if they removed all these things together, then it would be an easy task for them to dangle the much-needed health care before the eyes of the sick as a carrot that they can have if they agree with the Romans' mandate of Sunday laws. Now, if I've said this once, I've said this 1,000 times, this is where our God shines the most. In Psalm 119, verse 126, it says, "It is time for the Lord to work, for they have made void thy law." So it's pretty obvious when we're going to start seeing these things happen. But we got to be prepared to be able to stand up and be used by the Lord. When they do this, we can expect amazing miracles among God's people that will open the eyes of millions in the coming days. The sick are going to need true believers, real ones, not these charlatans that you see on TV. Or even in these churches that aren't on TV. They need true believers to direct them to Jesus Christ, who have the authority to ask Jesus to heal them. It's nothing we're doing. We didn't purchase like Simon Magus wanted to. It is something that becomes part of the Christian walk. Many of the people out there are not going to want to bow to the government health care for, a multitude of reasons. But some won't bow because of the message we previously shared with them. It could have been years ago. It could have been weeks ago. They're not going to bow because of what they know about. I mean, even today, the government has lied so many times. A lot of people that aren't even Christians don't trust them. And so these people can become part of our number just by the simple reality that they're going to get sick. especially if they're eating all the processed foods and they don't have any access to vitamins and they don't want to go to the healthcare doctor, the doctors that the government is giving them. So anyway, it's the Lord speaking to us when he says in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. In Matthew chapter 4, verses 23 and 24, it says, and Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. That's all manner of sickness, not just diseases, anything. And then going on, it says, and his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those that had the palsy, and he healed them. Preaching the message and healing the sick go hand in hand. Jesus is our obvious example. We need to learn directly from Jesus how to be more effective. His apostles confirmed Jesus' method of preaching was a powerful way to preach the gospel to many of the needy souls when they witnessed the power of heaven when they preached. In Mark 6, verses 12 and 13, it says, and they went out and preached that men should repent, and they cast out many devils and anointed with oil many that were sick and healed them. Anyone could preach the gospel. I mean, we see them doing it all over the TV, even though they do it all in a corrupted manner, but anybody can do it. But when you preach the gospel along with the healing of the sick, wow. I think that's all I could say, one word, wow. I mean, imagine that. I mean, imagine walking into a small town and seeing a little girl or even a little boy suffering in disease. The apostles were known as followers of Jesus, the healer. Do you think some people will listen to the message we preach when the Lord's hand is known to be upon us by the mouths of many witnesses that preceded our arrival? Can we do what Jesus did? The apostles did. We're not the apostles just like you and me. The fact is, Jesus did all this in a human body to prove we can do it if we have faith. That's why he came as a man, to show us. That's why I like to use the apostles as an example. They confirmed the power of heaven is for the people of God. Do you recall Jesus being awakened in the boat as the waves were crashing all over the place? And then, of course, he rebuked the storm that we have seen him do many times already for us as a church family. And not just regular tornadoes and stuff like that, storms in life. He said, after that storm was calmed down, he said, you have little faith. And then, they could have done it themselves. See, that's what Satan doesn't want any of the real Christians to know. Satan knows firsthand we have all the power of heaven at our fingertips thanks to Jesus Christ our Lord. He knows this. I believe this is the main reason for that original sin doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church that is spilled out into all denominations, and the denominations for many, many decades or even hundreds of years that didn't believe in the original sin doctrine. There's all other sorts of weird Roman doctrine in their statement of faith that has prevented them from going forth as prophecy says the real child of God can do. Satan wants the people to look to the flesh and keep looking to the flesh and see how weak the flesh is so as to prevent God from being glorified. This is why he attacks. I mean, if Satan's, think about it, he's super intelligent. And I'm not glorifying him in any way, shape, or form. He's an angel, but he's a fallen angel. We know this. We have to have respect for our enemy. We got to know what we're up against. And so him not being stupid, why does he go after you, a puny little Christian? I mean, why would a super intelligent, supernatural being be worried about you? You little, flesh and bone thing there. He knows something we have forgotten. Acts chapter 5, verses 12 to 16 says, and by the hands of the apostles were many signs and wonders wrought among the people. And they were all with one accord in Solomon's porch. And of the rest, there's no man joined himself to them, but the people magnified them. And believers were the more added to the Lord, multitudes, both of men and women, insomuch that they brought forth the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and couches, that at the least the shadow of Peter passing by might overshadow some of them. There came also a multitude out of the cities round about unto Jerusalem, bringing sick folks, and then which were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed, every one, not just a few. Okay? This is in the book of Acts, after Jesus ascended into heaven. By the hands of the apostles it started out. By the hands of the apostles. They had the former rain. We're looking at the latter rain upon us. And yes, there are a lot of martyrs out there. It's going on right now. That little time of trouble is starting to show its teeth. It's starting to happen. Satan is that scared. He knows how close it's getting. He's trying to kill off as many Christians as he can, because if he can get the number down, then those that are prophesied to go forth and glorify God in the ways that the apostles did, but with more power because the latter rain falls more abundantly, is, what he's after. He's trying to stop it. So I ask, why aren't we doing this? What's the key ingredient in a healing? Acts chapter 14, verses 9 to 10 says, the same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, stand upright on thy feet, and he leaped up and walked. Faith. That's the key ingredient. Plain and simple, faith. This is why our prayers have been getting answered the last few years, brethren. This is why we see tornadoes stop dead in their tracks. This is why we see mountains moved. This is why we see our loved ones healed and our problems go away. And even if they don't, this is why we see our prayers answered for courage and strength to keep the Christ-like spirit during these crazy times. He's showing us he's there.